gone through my own battles dealing with an addiction to pain pills after injuring my back and a few other injuries, as well as severe depression and PTSD. Overcoming this has been one of the most difficult things I've ever done. I always felt like no one understood me and like I was completely alone. However, I realized that wasn't the case. I knew at that moment I wanted to try my hardest to make sure no one else ever felt the way I did. One thing that had a big impact on me was music, specifically one singer who makes music about his battles in life and PTSD and adjusting back into the civilian world. Jeff, aka Soldier Hard. His music helped me through some pretty tough times. I listened to a song of his named Charlie Mike on repeat for hours one night. And in all honesty, that's how Charlie Mike Military Apparel was born. Our mission being just to give back to our veteran brothers and sisters, support our communities, and be there for all our first responders as well. We always said that if we saved only one veteran from committing suicide, all the hours and hard work we've spent on making Charlie Mike what it is will be well worth it. Not many people know this, but we receive emails, text messages, and calls from veterans all around the world. All we do is listen, and a lot of times that's all the veteran wants is a person to understand what they're saying and someone that won't judge them for feeling alone because they're not. We also pass along a lot of information to where they can receive help from a professional and others as well. As we continue to grow, we will never lose sight of who we are and what our purpose is. 22 too many. This is from Charlie Mike himself, Raul Moreno, um, and his partner, William Garay.
Business partner.
Life partners.
Yeah.
We're in this together.
Yeah.
One of them's from the army, so we don't know.
We're both RB. Yeah.
But welcome to the podcast, man. Welcome to Battle Bud Podcast. That intro, man, was awesome, and it reflects who you are as a team, actually, and why you are here. Because there's a lot of us that suffered pretty bad, and stuff like this, man, in the community helps out a ton, especially people that are going through it, people that are lost. Some people look on your show and find a way out. You probably never even know it. Maybe you do. But yeah, man, what y'all are doing is great, and I just want to give y'all's flowers for that.
Yeah, appreciate
Oh,
that.
yeah, appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it.
For sure. One thing I want to hit on real quick before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Soldier Hard. That dude is amazing, writes great music. He actually wrote a song for my book, Silent Screams. You can go ahead and put that link up.
Oh yeah, that's a badass song.
Yeah, it's called Silent Screams, and it's actually on my podcast list as its own episode. But you can go on there and check it out. But it's my story and a song, basically. He nailed it. And what he does, man, is he puts his music out there really for himself. It was for his own therapy, but in turn, it turned out to be therapy for a lot of veterans and a lot of people going through it. And it basically shows that, hey, you're not the only one feeling those ways about trauma, about losing loved ones, about losing friends in war. You're not the only one that's been through that and that's going through that. And that helps out a lot in recovery, right? Like just being able to reflect and be like, hey, I'm not the only one who's fucked up, right? There's other people out there like me, and this guy's actually putting it in song form, it's for enjoyment. It sounds great, but if you listen to the words, man, I mean, he's journaling through his music. I love that. And he gives back to his community. Where's he from?
The Philippines, I think.
The Philippines. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, he gives back to the Philippines. I actually donated some money to him to help feed people in the Philippines on his little quest that he had. I think it was around Christmas time, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
He does that every year. No, it's for his birthday. No.
for his birthday, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the first time I heard about it, and I jumped on board, and I support whatever he does. Good dude, man. Like y'all, man, y'all good people, man. Helping out other people. So let's start off with the with how this started, man. Raul, can you explain how you hurt your back and what caused the severe depression and PTSD?
Man, it was a lot. You know, I discovered a lot. I discovered I was a little different than most people, you know, growing up, man. Everything I did to an extreme. If it was uh I think I'm trying to I just knew I was different.
Yeah.
You know, people discover drinking when, you know, you're in your teens, you go to high school parties and things like that. And I just knew I love the feeling of not being there, if that makes any sense. I love the feeling to get to the point where intoxicated, where I wasn't in this world.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in my own world. And then I discovered drugs. And then I discovered the military. So I suffered with a lot of death throughout early growing up, and I think that had a lot of effect on me. You know, I lost my mother, my father, a lot of close people to me.
Sorry to hear that.
And you know, no, people say that, man, but it's all good. It's something that you know is part of life.
For sure.
And you know, I had to grow up a little faster, and I think that that's what I enjoyed, the feeling of not being here mentally. And you know, I joined the army. I went away within within the first year and some change. I was sitting in Iraq. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, okay. How do I get out of this shit?
Mm.
You know, and you know, through basic wear and tear of your military body, man. You know, you put it through some things. You know, you're meant. You know, your psyche, your physical body doing all the things, you know, that the military ask of you. And seeing things and experiencing things and living for the moment, you know, not knowing if you were gonna, you know, pass or if you were gonna be able to see your family again. You know, that shit plays a mind game on you.
Yeah.
And you know, I just it took a lot for me to adjust, and I always look for a way out. Um, I don't even know if that's making any sense. Yeah, I think I'm just rambling. To be honest with you.
So basically, your addiction was your way out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
That's
That's what,
and it's like a lot of us. We just want to forget what's fucking with us, you know.
yeah, definitely, man. And you know, I remember one Christmas I came home. I was stationed in. Well, I'm not gonna say where I'm stationed because people are gonna know who it is. So I came home for Christmas, and I had like a shaving kit, and in that shaving kit, I kept all my medications. You know what I mean? So I put the shaving kit in the restroom, and then I think my parents had went through it with my sister, and then they noticed the medications, and they weren't like no bullshit ibuprofen. I mean, I'm talking about like Percocets, Oxycontin, you know, and it was all prescribed.
Yeah.
So I wasn't taking anything that I wasn't supposed to. I just was taking it to an extreme. So when they say take one or half of one, I was taking maybe 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it got pretty bad. And they confronted me at one point. It was like, hey,
Your family did.
yeah, we think you have a problem with pills. And I said, I got no problem. And they were like, well, we think you do because we counted them and now we know. You know, it's just a couple of days, and I went through a shitload of them. So I was like, I got mad, and I left, and I called one of my guys, and I was like, hey, man, you think I got a pill problem? And he's like, nah. He goes, you just do what you got to do to continue to soldier and drive on. And I was like, okay. So I hung up the phone, and then I was like, wait, what the fuck was that? Like, what happens when I'm done doing whatever I'm asked of from the army or from them, and then I'm at a point in my life where like I can't walk or do anything like that? At that, yeah, that was the moment I quit taking medication, like actual medication. I won't take anything, that's anything that gets me out of my head as far as that. Now, I did lean on after getting out, man. I drank a lot. And I experimented with some other types of uh drugs, but it's just because I didn't want to feel, man. I felt like I just didn't like that feeling of feeling.
So how did you kick that then? If you were so stuck on stepping away from reality, like what made you want to be back in it?
I made with time, I feel like I've actually made my dreams, not my nightmares, my dreams
Yeah.
reality. And I don't want to wake up. I feel like I'm dreaming right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of something that is surreal. I know that sounded cheesy as shit, but it's the truth.
No, yeah. I mean, y'all are doing great stuff, man. And for me, like what y'all are doing is helping people, right? And with me, I try to help people as much as possible, with everything that I do. But that's therapy in itself, helping other people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right. And I
yeah.
know y'all can attest to that. Like as even going over finances with people, helping them with their household. Like if you have information that they need and you give it to them, like all that stuff adds up. Those are all little wins for your health, right? Because you know for a fact that you're helping them individuals directly. And that's all, I mean, that's what I feel. Is that the same with y'all?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Helping is a way of therapy too. It's just
Yeah.
something that I think we both. I speak for you.
Yeah. Go
I
for it.
think I think it's something that we both enjoy, man, and find it therapeutic. Is
Yeah.
is giving back to everybody. We try to be have an impact in the veteran community, but at the same time, man, we don't want to forget where we came from,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to give back to the city as well.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
this is what we are.
Yeah. Let's come back to that first. William, I know you struggled a lot with was it alcohol
Mhm.
addiction? Um, can you go over the reason for the addiction and then how you kicked it
It's
and why you
it's
kicked it?
it's culture. It's culture. I'm Mexican, right?
Yeah.
My family grew up um, the same way.
Yeah.
Their parents drank. My parents drank. Drinking from a young age is, as young as teens.
Yeah.
Probably sooner. Just growing up in the culture, and then in the military, an infantryman, right? Like I wanted to be the hardcore, awesome guy, and it's the same thing. You drink until the mornings, and you get up and you go do PT, and then you run some more, and then you go out and you drink. Um, and so when it turned really bad for me was right after I suffered an injury, a TBI, and I was fucking lonely.
Explain what that is for people that
So
don't know what TBI
a
is.
TBI was a traumatic brain injury. I was an airborne paratrooper, which means I used to jump from airplanes at Fort Bragg, and I just had a pretty bad jump at night. It's cold, it's windy, hit the ground pretty hard. I mean, we hit the ground no matter what, but extremely hard this time. And I noticed I was kind of irritable, and the guy you see now is more polished and refined, and I was still a pretty happy guy, very positive even then. But after the TBI, I was like irritable and angry and pissed
Yeah.
off at guys for no reason, and it clicked. And I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. So I got checked out, and they're like, yeah, you have a concussion. So working through that, I had I developed more anxiety and depression. I couldn't sleep at night. Um, I had light sensitivity, so bright lights bothered me. And at that same time, we were getting ready to deploy with the 82nd, and I moved my wife and kids home, so I was renting a house in North Carolina, or renting a room. So it was just me, no family there, going through all this trauma and trying to deal with it, and drinking, and
Yeah.
like we usually do, it's normal for us. Didn't help. Um, that led me to get out of the army a year later. My wife and I, she finally moved back to North Carolina. But still, I still drink.
Did
You
it
know.
impact? Did it impact your marriage at all?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How so?
Lot of strife. I mean, also it's
Strife.
strife. Yeah, like
What's that?
angst, or arguing.
Okay.
Tension between us. Just it's it's all on me, really.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, she's a phenomenal woman. And I don't really know why she's still here, but she is.
yeah.
No, she's a phenomenal woman, and we made those vows to each other that long ago, that it took me rediscovering that. And slowly, even moving back home, we still drank. We went out and partied like together. Like that
Yeah.
was our reconnecting. We're gonna date, and we would date and go out and drink. And then we slowly started to realize that it wasn't helping things. We would do dry Januaries, not drink for January, or then give it up for Lent. And then one of the big influences of why went sober is I met Raul, and I knew that he was in podcasting. I really wanted to get involved with that in his circle and his what he was doing.
Right.
And Raul's not going to hang out with me if I'm not drinking. So it was just like one more thing to say, you know what, just give it up. And then I'm year and a half later, it's been like, why didn't I give this up sooner?
Yeah. It's clarity, man. I mean, I was really bad into alcohol, and I spiraled out of control, man. I was a police officer, but it was kind of weird actually with me. Um, Mine was military as well, um, and also police. So
Mhm.
I've been a police officer for going on 16 years now, and it's with the military trauma and police trauma, like multiple shootings, seeing kids being raped, like literally seeing a kid being raped, interact and intervening and stuff like that. Um, Kids being decapitated, cartels doing their thing, like it's there's a lot of stuff, man.
Mhm.
Every week is something crazy that's happening. Car chases pretty much weekly in the area that we were at, if not bi-weekly, and foot chases sometimes, but lots of fighting. So like all that stuff adds up, and like for me, like now looking back at it, what I try to get other people to do is talk to people, man. Like,
Mhm.
and y'all promote it, but I don't really think y'all know y'all promote that, but through y'all's podcast and y'all promote that. Talking to people, getting that stuff off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I always say, like, if you got a glass of water, every little trauma is more water, right? Well, if you don't unleash empty that water every now and then, sooner or later that cup's gonna fall over. It's gonna spill over, right? And that's when officers and veterans get in trouble. That's when family violence, they get arrested, or they drink until they pass out, or they commit suicide. It's all a domino effect, right?
Mhm.
It really
Um,
It's also like we're men, and it's like the masculine thing. You got to do it
yeah,
all on your own, and you got to
yeah,
handle
yeah,
your business. And it's
yeah,
not that way.
yeah,
Like, I mean, if you take a look at the cameras or the video, like there's three men here talking about their vulnerabilities, like the
yeah.
hardest part within all of us.
And I think that's how
Are
you change it, though.
Yeah.
And so, like with written word, like my book, people that write stuff like that, with spoken word, the podcast, all this stuff, man, is just it raises awareness. And for me, awareness saves lives. Like there was a long time where I never even knew what PTSD was.
Yeah.
And I was in the military. Nobody said nothing about PTSD. My first 5 years on the police department, nobody said nothing about PTSD until my first shooting. Actually, my first shooting was 2009. So in 2009, that's when I first realized what PTSD was. And I was the therapist was like, because after the shooting, you had to go to therapy in order to get back on the street. And I was just like, man, just give me back on the street. What do I have to do? You know?
Yeah.
And
Check,
she made
check,
me,
check.
well, check this out. So she made me, the first thing she made me do was write a list of at least 10 things, right? On your traumas, like your major traumas in your life. And I was on like 20, like, you know,
Shit.
and she was like, go ahead and stop. And all the symptoms lined up. She was like, sir, I think you have PTSD, you know, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. And she kind of explained it. She made me watch a video on it, like to make me understand it. And I was like, the video, I was like, I have every one of these things. Like, I can't sleep. I'm irritable. Like,
Yeah.
I walk around the house with my freaking gun. Like, I do all kinds of stuff, like crazy stuff back then, you know? And I never really thought that it was abnormal.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I didn't. I've known a little bit about Raul's history too, and for me, the PTSD really didn't show until years later, right? And like I said, I had that injury, and that really pushed it for me. Like, that's when it really came out, like the depression and the drinking all the time, like every single day. And then you just get, the creeps that come in, the thoughts that come in, and being alone and not sharing what's going on with everybody, because you gotta, I was a staff sergeant and I gotta take care of my guys. And how do I take care of them with that if I'm not helped well?
Exactly. And in the Army or in the military and in the police force, there's sergeants, lieutenants that used to be beat cops, you know, street cops that never got their trauma taken away either. So they don't know how to deal with their
Mhm.
officers either when they come to them. It's basically like back in the days, like when my dad was a police officer in the old days, you man up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man up, get back out there. That's the job, right? Well, and this might be a little controversial, but sometimes when you see officers pop off with attitudes and like are really irritable and they show up at a scene and they're mean already, you know, like it's not you that we're mad at. It's the kid that we just saw rape. It's the, you know what I mean? They just came from a call that something crazy happened, you know, but seeking help for all the stuff that you see helps you deal with all that stuff and it helps you I don't know the word for it, but it helps you interact with people better, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, awareness is huge. And I noticed that you in one of the article that was written by you, it goes in on one of your big things is spreading awareness,
Mhm.
right? Yes. Can you kind of explain like how you spread awareness?
It's being open about it. One of the things that you're being open about what you're going through and sharing like your resources. So for me, I'm like a natural connector, right? I'm always connecting
Yeah.
folks and trying to put people together. Uh, but it's also just being very open. I mean, half my life or a lot of my time is spent online. I'm trying to build that brand and that awareness and that presence for myself, but I'm trying to come off authentically. Like I've had a boatload of debt before, right? I've had a marriage that fails, and I've got 4 kids. I'm trying to be a good father. It's like I had a drinking problem. It's just being open so that others can see, because for me, that's being a leader that's worth following, like being open about it. Hey, if I'm really going to say get your money right and get sober, then I need to make sure I'm practicing what I'm preaching a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's like I can like Raul lives a phenomenal life if you just watch him, right? He doesn't need that social presence. If you
Right.
just see what he does, and that's like one of the best examples of what a leader can be. Like everybody out there for me is that leader by living your life that way. And that's how I try to spread it. Live a good life, be a good person, and then share the resource when you got them.
For sure. Bro, you got anything to add on that?
Man,
Awareness?
he pretty much said it all. I mean, that's what it is. Just be, we made it to the point where we're available like pretty much 24/7. You know what I mean? And being there for each other and checking in on your friends. And we say this a lot, or I say it a lot, where I'm like, you know, I text a lot of my friends every day, but I don't say hello. I don't say good morning. I just say, hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just as a veteran thing, we all know,
Yeah.
hey man, that means I love you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I do that often. It's just, you know, I think in the military we were all raised where, you know, you don't speak, um, you don't show weakness. And the old schools always, you know, we never talked mental illness. We never discussed things like that. If you went to sick call,
Yeah.
you were a bitch, or you know, this and that. And you know, when I speak to soldiers now, man, I'm like, hey man, take care of yourself. You know, go to sick call, keep documentation, make sure you're doing everything right. Because when it's all said and done, it's just you and your family, man. It's not gonna be,
Yeah.
you know, it's not gonna be nobody. I mean, it sucks, but they ain't gonna be worried about you afterwards. They're gonna get
Yeah.
a soldier to fill your spot, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
gonna move on.
Oh,
And
bro, you're a social security number, bro.
yeah,
That's all you are.
yeah.
That's all
and
you are.
and the and you know in the Army's like theme song too, it even says the Army keeps rolling along.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what it's gonna do. When you
Yeah.
leave, they're gonna keep going. Yeah, we all want to keep in touch with the guys, and we'll find a way to do that with your peers, the folks you serve with. But
Yeah.
they're going to keep rolling on, and so you've got to find a way to do that too. But
Yeah.
nobody knows how to do it. Like it's
Yeah.
so, and everybody's so different that we all do it differently. So it's for us with Charlie and Mike, it's just trying to find more ways to share that. You know, how do we? How did you fucking make it? Well, I did it this way. Like, okay, that would have never worked for me. This is how
Yeah.
I did it. You know.
Yeah, everybody reacts differently to stuff, so that's why I'm like I'm careful um giving advice.
Mm,
I mean, I give it in a way where it's because I really want to be blunt about it.
right.
You know what I mean? You know how we are, that, but you don't know how certain people will take it. You
Can't.
don't, well, you don't know how far off they are in their recovery,
Yeah.
or if they're in recovery at all. If they're not in recovery at all, they're gonna get aggravated and they're gonna want to fight or something like. But in reality, like tough love is the best love, you know. And I literally just had to tell an officer, like I had to show up um, at an ER.
Yeah.
I had to go in some tough love, bro. You
Yeah.
know, and he listened to me, and we shipped his ass out um, to Florida. You know,
Mhm.
and he went through a 30-day program, uh, got out, and he's better than ever now, bro.
Hmm.
And he was thanking the crap out of me, bro. But I mean, that shit was scary at one point, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's such a clear message. It's like if I didn't care enough about you, then I wouldn't say anything,
Yeah.
even at your darkest or at your. It's like this is the time. Like I'm telling you because I care. Like you need to get
Yeah.
your shit together because you're getting really
Yeah.
close. But from us, it comes off that way. It's like you're
Yeah.
right. It's the tough when somebody can give you that tough love. Um, that's the type of love that lasts.
So I always say, like, um, the best the best healers, the best people to put in a position like these are the people that have the strongest whys, right? So like my why is I'm tired of seeing my fucking friends die. Like I don't even know how many there are now. Like I'm just tired of seeing it, whether it's military or first responders. Like it's over and over and over again. Like it's just it's out of hand, man. And that's why I show that tough love, because shit's serious, you know, and they need to take it serious. Because if they don't, a lot of them just brush it off and go back right back what they're doing,
Mm.
not thinking nothing of it. But no, like you got to be, if you're a real healer, you got to be adamant. You have to be on them like 24/7. If you know the guy's fucked up, if you know he needs help, bro, like there's no boundaries anymore. You know what I mean? If you know he has kids and a wife, like those kids and your wife, they're gonna be living without you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
straight up tell him that. Like, some other man's gonna be raising your kids, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it the other day. I haven't posted it yet, so you get a sneak peek. But it's you know, a lot of times when it comes to what does Rocco call it? Terminal illness, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times when folks get into that crisis mode, it's like, well, my family would be better off without me. And it's like, no, what your family will be better off is if you beat it. Your family's gonna be better by seeing you admit the wrongs and then get better. And then they're going to get better and then be better.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be better with you in their lives further along than where you are now.
Yeah, of course. And imagine how powerful it is to your little baby boy who's seeing you go through this shit. And then you take control of your own life, turn yourself around and be a man in the head of your household.
Bro, let me tell you
Like,
this. This just happened last night. I took my son to wrestling. Uh, Best times that I have is like taking him to practice, right? So I took him to wrestling practice, and he was talking about sobriety. He said because his mom's she's an alcoholic. She's 3 years sober now, and he was like, "I'm really proud of her." And then he says, I'm really glad that you don't drink anymore too, because I remember seeing. I used to hate when you guys would play poker at night because people come to my house and play
yeah,
poker. I used to hate when y'all would come over with your family and y'all would play poker, and you would get drunk, and I can see it in your eyes. Just you were different, the redness and stuff. And it was the first time in a long time I was like, "Holy shit!" Like
yeah.
he's 10 and he
Kids ain't dumb,
knows.
bro.
Yeah, man, he knows
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
everything. And like exactly what you're saying, because I'm trying to get better and be better. Hopefully, that carries over to him. Where I mean, we're eventually he'll probably drink alcohol, but maybe he won't.
yeah.
Or maybe he'll keep that in mind.
But not only that, bro. Like, the message it sends to him is take control of your own life. Period. Right? If you don't like the way you're going, change that shit. You know what I mean? And just that message alone, it don't have to even be like the alcohol part of it. Just that message alone will have him successful
Mhm.
later on. You know, he's gonna be, in some fucked up situation. And he's like, you know what? I don't need this shit. I need to change what I'm doing. And then go on the right path.
Yeah, that's one of the things that excuse me, I like to share. I go to meetings almost every night, man. And NA, Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm not using it to promote because you're not supposed to do that or anything like that. But
Yeah.
but I speak in there, man. I hear people man, they go in there and they share these sad stories and things like that. But I'm like, that's cool and everything. And you said the same thing last month. At what point do you grab that shit and be like, yo, it's time for me to make some changes in my life, and try to better yourself and better the situation, because you can let's say we have a friend that loves to partake in the party scene,
Right.
and we talk to him, we tell him, hey, you need to chill, or we see it. But if that person isn't ready to fix himself, there's only so much that we can do as individuals, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Until that person has a wake-up call. People used to tell me all the time, like, man, hey, you got a problem. I'm like, man, you got no problem.
Yeah.
I'm good. You fuckers are crazy. But it wasn't until I got in trouble where I was like, oh shit, I might have a problem. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I try to share that message with everybody. Is you have to change your thought process,
Oh
man. You
yeah.
have to change everything that you're doing. You have to change if you wanna make shit a better life for you and your family. You have to.
You have to. You have to change that negative to a positive, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, like, I tell people this all the time because, um, especially dealing with alcoholics, and why is this happening to me? Why did God do this to me? Why has He put me through this and that? Like, no, man. Your mindset should be, I'm glad this shit's happening to me because God knows that I can handle this shit.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like your mentality should change to not being defensive but offensive. Like, what am I gonna do? What's my next step to get better? Like, but it takes a while though. it takes a while to get that mentality like that, because at that point they're broken. You know what I mean? So it takes people like us, the people that been through it and came out the other end, like, to build them back up.
Mhm.
Little wins matter too. Like, I always give them little tasks to do,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
You
And
got
all
to.
these little wins, bro, it builds their ego, builds their self-esteem, and then they're off and running on their own. Their old ways, come back from the military, like taking control of their shit, and then they're off, But they just sometimes they're in the hole, man. You just got to reach in and pull them out.
Yeah, you got to sometimes. Man, I tell everybody, and I use this motto a lot, man. People ask, like, what's the first thing you changed? I said, my mindset. That's the first thing I changed. They're like, what do you mean? I said, I started living by a life where I said, Hakuna Matata. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Yeah.
I said, yo, whatever.
Simple as that.
Yeah,
I
man.
love hearing it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, man. And it was something that I live by, because there's some things that you can't control that are out of your
Yeah.
control, but the things that you can control, do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as simple as that. If you can fix it, fix it. If you can't, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounded off.
I think it's because I mean you guys both know I'm a Ramsey coach, and for me it's worked, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that there's other ways that don't work. You
Mhm,
know what I mean? It
mhm.
doesn't mean you can try somebody else's stuff and it'll work. I'm telling you what worked for me,
Right.
and that's what I hear too when you say stuff like that. Like, this is what has worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. I'm just telling you, like,
Yeah.
for me, this is what I've had to use, and I think that's the thing that I love about all that we talk about. We all deal with it in different ways, and all I'm trying to do is share something that's helped me. Like,
Yeah.
this is what helped me get to where I am. You can take it or leave it. I'm just letting you know that it works. Like Hakuna Matata
Yeah.
means no worries.
And I think the main thing is like whatever y'all put out there is it's helping people to the point where, like, sometimes you don't know it even helps them.
Yeah.
And it's in their mental, in the back of their mind, and then one day they're like, oh, I remember this was said on Charlie Mike's podcast, whatever, and it guides them the right way. Let's talk about the business, man.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the business. Like, how
You interested in financing?
oh man.
No,
man, I just went through a
Just a-
divorce, man.
yeah.
My pockets
Just a
are
desk.
empty. My
Yeah,
pockets
yeah.
are empty.
I got a desk.
Hey, y'all tagged up my desk already.
Bro, you like that?
All right, so guys, y'all don't know, I let them have a desk. That's a nice desk.
He said half.
It is.
Write it down.
Right
Have 'em
now,
sign it.
They can
I
have.
am
They can
half
have.
desk.
Well, you're painting it black, motherfucker. No, so-
we haven't solved it in half yet.
No, they get. Yeah, y'all can have that. But the thing is that desk was given to me by my old man, and what they're doing here, man, like, whatever they need in here, man, I'm glad to help them out. The mission is the same for all of us. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is what it is. And plus, I get free podcasting.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's free, right?
Yeah.
It's free. No, let me
Nah,
write
you-
that down.
You good. We're
First month.
Hey, you took care of us, bro.
Yeah,
We're gonna
no,
take care of you.
but the desk looks great, man. Be honest with you,
I'm
all blacked out.
I'm gonna tell you what, man. That's like the 5th or 6th change that we did to it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, bro. We couldn't get it right. And I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to shit.
Yeah,
So
he's weird.
if it's not
He's
done right, bro, I'm gonna stay here until it's done right. And yeah, but it's the first time I ever sanded.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude.
I like went and bought a freaking sander,
Oh,
man. And I was like, nah, this don't look right. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
other colors did you do it?
Well, we tried to stain it without
Oh, yeah.
sanding it, and you can't do that. Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it came out looking good. We were happy
Yeah.
with the final. Well, I was happy.
Oh, it looks good. It looks
Yeah.
good. So
It's-
what are y'all gonna be providing services here?
Man, we're gonna let everybody do what pretty much they want to do as far as doing podcasts. You come in, we're gonna teach you what worked for us in growing our podcast and things like
Yeah.
that. So you want to get your numbers up, we can show you how we did it. And then as far as that, we're gonna have different. Go ahead, Will.
We'll have different events here too. I think this space allows us to be as creative as we want to be. And the thing is, we're just two guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
anybody can come in and see the space differently. And that's what I love. Like my sister, she wants to do some photography. And I was like, well, why don't we have a headshot day? So we'll have it during lunch or something, and everybody can kind of come in and she can scoop up and be like, all right, you know, either throw in your business card, make sure you tag the place, and then we'll give you a free headshot. Because everybody's looking to update their headshots. I mean, why not be behind a nice desk, or why not be in front of a couple of mics? It brings you across as that authority figure now
Yeah.
instantly,
Heck yeah.
instantly. And so again, I think that's what the space is for. So it allows us to be as creative as we want with our show, and then be able to say, well, what ideas do you have? Let's
Yeah.
try to make those dreams, your ideas come true, because that's what that's what all this is. We hear that song all the
Yeah.
time. Every time, like, it was all a dream, and because this was the space we looked at before was smaller, and it was like I would love to do something like, I don't know, just have different areas so we can roam around, we can push it,
Yeah.
and we can continue to create, because it's working nowadays. It's not about nowadays it's about documenting. So if we have an hour-long podcast like this, you can come on and chop it up and then post it to your socials,
Oh,
and now
yeah.
you got content for a month or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
So that's the thing is we wanted to have different setups so you can come in here and whatever you're feeling. If you're feeling more of a group thing, then damn, use this.
Yeah.
If you just want to do some one-on-one, jump to another one, and we just wanted to be more of a friendly environment. We wanted people to come in and feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
Not like it's an uptight, podcast. Keep your damn shoes on or whatever,
yeah.
And man, we're loving it. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks great, man. I know I came whenever it was still under construction,
Yeah.
and it was looking good, man. And now I came, and it's all done, and it's nice, bro. I did a great job.
I know I did it all myself.
I thought so. I thought you did.
And there's a couple of offices here, and that allows us as well to do things that we're both passionate about. I mean, Raul started with the apparel line,
Right.
and it's allowing us to bring that back, have more shirts in-house,
How's
come
that-
up with
how's
some
that going?
designs.
Man, we talk about it, and we were doing well before COVID, and our numbers were insane.
Yeah.
And it slowed down because a lot of people weren't buying apparel during COVID. Believe it or not, they weren't trying to get new clothes to sit around the house.
Yeah.
How dare they?
How
Yeah.
dare they? But the message still was still there, and things are picking back up, and that's another thing we plan on doing here is we call it phase 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I call it phase 2.
Yep.
Do you call it phase 2?
Yes, because you do it.
Okay, so is do all that, man.
Yeah.
Push the apparel back and
Mhm.
start because that's what gave us the apparel is what made this possible.
Yeah.
You
for
know
sure.
what I mean? So we want to grow this.
Now, let me ask you this: will that branch off to other people's apparel?
I mean,
Well, or just y'all's?
we're gonna push our brand. We're gonna push our brand.
Right.
Now, in if time comes where, let's say, for instance, you come in, we might make an exception, but we're not gonna go, just for,
Yeah.
hey, I need 10 shirts for a birthday party. No,
Gotcha.
it's not what
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, we want the machines to be used for our brand,
Yeah.
right? Or partner brands, put it that way, right? So now if we're
I like
partnering
it.
together, it's different, right? Because we're working together to grow. And then the Troy Mike the podcast allows us to do that, because even when everything's shut down, we're able to bring folks on and just continue
Yeah.
to talk about what veterans are facing, because they're so diverse. Uh, you rich, poor, country,
Oh,
city
yeah.
folk, everybody
For sure.
has the ability to join. And then when we get out, there's not enough avenues broadcasting the message of what great things veterans can do.
Mhm.
I mean, you're looking at 3 here that are all different, right? I mean, none of
Yeah.
us knew each other before when we were in, and we get out and we find a group of like-minded individuals that are starting to grow together. And now what are we doing? We're just raising everybody else up,
Oh yeah. For
right?
sure.
It's not like individual silo, just like, hey, I'm gonna go do my stuff and you can do your stuff, but I'm gonna help you. Like that's what it's
Yeah.
about. It's like the crosstalk. But you got to
Yeah.
find that group. You got to get involved first.
Yeah, and I think if you just keep working, bro, you'll find that group. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? You just keep grinding. Um, like I just came across y'all, and it was after that, man, I clicked with y'all, and
Yeah.
Actually, I saw that post. It was almost 2 years ago, right when I started working at the other nonprofit. And then
This isn't
Sonia.
a nonprofit, by the way. You
Yeah,
said
no.
the other nonprofit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I said it. I don't want to name their name. So
Oh,
there,
okay.
yeah. So when
Okay,
I
okay,
started
gotcha.
working there, Sonia was like, "Hey, you need to link up with my cousin." I was like,
Oh,
"All right,
yeah.
cool, let's do it." And that was the first time I heard his name.
Oh, for real?
And now here we are.
But that's and that's a good thing because people see what we're doing, man. And they,
Yeah,
God does crazy stuff.
he
bro.
does, man.
Connects people.
He does.
Now, part of all this, man, is setting goals, right? Like that's how I wrote my book. That's how I got number one. That's how I started the podcast. What can you let others know about goal setting?
You know, I do it different than most people. I'm gonna tell you how William is. He wants to set reachable goals that he knows that he can reach, and I love that. But I'm that guy where I'm like, I want this company to be worth
Right.
fucking outrageous amounts of money
Yeah.
because that's what I shoot for.
No,
you know
for
what
sure.
I'm saying? Yeah,
I do both, by the
Yeah.
way. So I do like realistic short-term goals, and then I do like realistic monthly goals, and then I do yearly goals,
Yeah.
and then I'll do some. I want my fucking brand to be everywhere.
See,
Yeah.
I think
I want my brand to be on girls' butts everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's why we're like
You know?
the yin and yang, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
slow down, bro. Come
No, that's a
back
good
over
thing.
here.
Though.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
And you know what's interesting is I'm actually the same way, bro. I think long term, like where I could be, what I'm learning to do now, and it's easier because I can involve Raul
Yeah.
and keep me accountable. Like when we talk about it, is to set those clear, defined, like short term goals.
Yeah,
We were
for
just
sure.
going over it before you walked in, like, hey, what's our vision for this? And
Yeah.
I want to get those things because I want this to be
Oh,
successful. And I read all kinds of books and listen to those podcasts. Like, this is how you do it. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try it out with Raul because I've never really had those things. But for me, what I write every morning, one of my goals personally is to have $1 million a year that I make. And I write that down every
Yeah.
single day. That's one of the things that I try to write down and manifest.
Oh yeah.
And then I write down what I'm grateful for. And then I go back to my yearly goals. This is the second year my wife and I have done it. Where in December we'll sit down and we'll go over our goals for the year as a family, and then as a business, and then our personal goals, and we'll kind of share them. So, and then I write those in the present tense. Like, right, one of my goals is for this year is I speak Spanish in a daily conversations.
Okay.
I don't right now,
Yeah.
but that's one of my goals. And so I write it in the present tense. Like I speak Spanish daily, and I do it through. Right now, I'm doing it through Audible, and my
Gotcha.
sister speaks fluent Spanish, so I'm like, you're gonna have to talk to me so I can actually start.
Yeah, I
doing it.
actually just downloaded Babbel, I think. it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, so I'm trying to learn Spanish.
You
too.
know,
We're Mexicans, bro.
I know, right, bro? I don't know.
I
Oh,
thought
that's
I thought
three of us.
Babbel was the dating site.
Was it?
That's
No,
Bumble,
that's
Oh,
and you would know that
His-
one.
his mind's somewhere else,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, my bad. I was like, I got it too, bro.
It's millions all the time.
Be expecting that phone call soon. Oh man.
Heck yeah.
Gotta go.
Hey, so yeah, man, let's close it out with something good, man. What does this quote mean to y'all? The sole meaning of life is to serve humanity.
It's, yeah, I mean, I agree with it. I mean, that's
Like-
that's what it's about, man.
Yeah.
Giving back brings happiness to me. It's always it's always what we do, regardless of how big. And I've said this from the beginning, regardless of how big we get or how big we don't, what we are, but we're still gonna give. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're always gonna give. We're always gonna remember where we came from and how it started, and that has always been mission priority one was it. And I've said this, and I was just like, I'm not trying to get rich, man.
Yeah.
I just want matching 1997 Honda Civics. You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go. And not have to worry about
No, it
bills.
wasn't. It was a Ford. It was a Ford Focus.
Yeah, it was
my
a Ford
bad.
Focus. He was, I just want matching Ford Focuses, bro. And I'm like, dang, for real.
He was looking at me like, "What?" I was like, "I don't know."
I'm good with
You're
that.
like,
Yeah.
that's cool, guy.
Yeah,
I live my life by that quote. I found it a couple of years ago, and one thing that I tell vets all the time, or anybody who's looking to get looking to reignite their mission, and it's if you can start serving, you'll find it. You know,
Sure.
you can find it because service to others, providing for others, just it can really shed light to who you are. You
Yeah.
know, like or the blessings that you have. You know, we all tend to forget that we live in America, which is the greatest country on earth, and we'll say that
Yeah.
until the day we die,
Texas.
because it has the freedoms that we are able to do. You know,
Yeah.
we can choose what we want to do. You can choose what you have fresh water. You have access to healthcare. We have these amazing devices right next to us all the time that
Yeah.
we can use to our advantage, and so use them. But if you use them for good, man, it feels amazing.
Yeah, man. For sure. And for me, man, I give it a lot, bro. But I used to get in trouble for that.
Mhm.
Actually, because my last nonprofit that I was national director at, I would give too much, you
Right.
know, and being a nonprofit, we need income,
Yeah.
you know. And I always told him, the founder is awesome, man. He's to this day like he's awesome. But the thing is that I always told him I was like, hey, you know, you take care of the community will take care of you, you know. So every week I'd have some fundraiser for a family or some fundraiser for a school or you know something. I'd have something, and that's a lot of my time that I'm putting up, right? And you know, I got to deal with that,
Mhm.
right? But that's my donation to the community, you know. So, but my thing is that my biggest fear is that kids growing up are going to be the same as the kids that are grown ups now are thinking about first responders. When when I was on patrol and I would drive through the hood, you know, these people be flipping us off, you know, all this stuff, and it's just getting worse. My thing is if we do stuff to connect our community with veterans and first responders, the mentality is going to change because they're going to see us as real people. They're going to see that we're directly impacting the community. We're directly involved in the well-being of our youth, right? Um, and that brings me to another point. Donald Brown is the guy that I want to introduce you to, and he'll probably end up doing a podcast here. But he's one of the guys that, man, anything he does, bro, I want to uplift him. I want to help him out, and he's here in Pearland as well. But he does a football league for underprivileged kids,
Yeah.
you know, and you know it's a nonprofit, you know, so we would raise money for his nonprofit or
What's
we
it
would,
called?
uh
Oh, you can tell me
DBL.
offline. Okay.
I think it's DBL, but it's Donald Brown football DBFL, Donald Brown Football League, I believe. Sorry, Donald, if I messed it up. but but yeah, but yeah, it's awesome, man. And matter of fact, at the hometown heroes event, the last one that y'all were at,
Yeah.
the last one that we did as a foundation, uh, we had a ton of thousands of people showed up, but we had a 5K, and he was actually the one that ran it, and the profits from the 5K went to his
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's what's
went to
up.
his
Yeah, yeah.
nonprofit, and it wasn't much because we didn't have enough time to promote that part of it, but yeah, I mean it was more than nothing, you know.
Yeah.
It's better than
Yeah.
nothing.
It's always.
And not only that, the promo alone helped him because I promoted the crap out of him for
Yeah.
you know the whole month leading up to the event. But yeah, man, giving back is key, man, and I appreciate y'all for doing what y'all are doing in the community
Man.
and giving back. And yeah, can y'all go over how they can reach y'all and how they can book if they want to book anything, or if they live out of the city, what kind of services that y'all provide for them?
Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
You can follow us if you're interested in our podcast at Charlie Mike the podcast, or Charlie Mike Military Apparel on Facebook, Instagram is kind of where we stay. And then our podcast studio is in Pearland, so it's Pearland Podcast Studio, both on Facebook and Instagram. Any love you guys share would be greatly appreciated. There's many ways that we can get involved, to stay involved. I wanted to leave you with, I shared this with Raul before, and I heard you mention it, but I always say, don't forget you can't pour from an empty cup, you know. And right now where we are, I got a clip to share soon, and Raul says, and I'm ready to pour. You know, our cup is full. We're ready to pour. We're ready to do for others because it feels good.
Yeah,
So,
man.
no, we appreciate it. Thanks for everything. This has been phenomenal.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Nah, man, it's a pleasure. And man, we see your growth, bro. So keep doing it, man. Keep,
Appreciate it, brother.
like you told us, man, the impact is real. Keep it up. You're on the road now. Hey,
For sure, man.
I expect to see you next week.
All right, brother. Thank y'all for tuning in, bro.